before we get into the main topic, we have some updates about last week's episode that we want to touch base with you all.
Let's touch people with this information.
Let's touch them, because this is information that I think we might have an exclusive on. Because so last week we talked about Pricemaster. That was the episode, that was the main topic. And Kyle said in the episode that it was actually quite hard to find any kind of information on Pricemaster. We put the video out, and I mean, a couple of things happened. One, the Rick Perry started following us, which was, hey, Rick, if you're watching this episode. But then another individual who said that they were a part of the original video. What year did it come out again?
2001.
2001, reached out to us via email with a whole bunch of clarification and context. So we want to talk about that because it's an interesting thing for us to sit here and sort of like this meta a commentary of our own video on our show where we talk about internet stuff. I think is fascinating.
I'm also just really honored to have this kind of like, I guess, privileged insider information on this rather obscure topic.
It's very rare to cover a meme or viral video and on a, let's face it, very relatively unknown podcast, and then to have the creators email you directly.
Many paragraphs of information.
A lot of stuff.
I gotta say, feel good about that. That's fun. It's like being a part of history.
Yes. Kyle, do you have the email in front of you? Do you have any choice bits that you want to?
Which email is the real question?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. The first email has like some basic clarifications of what we talked about and what we got wrong. This is our official apology video. Every creator on YouTube has one. This is
I don't know if it's an apology necessarily. It's just kind of like
none of us are crying yet, so
I think I can read this without it revealing the identity of the person.
Yes.
And everything.
They asked to remain anonymous.
One of the paragraphs here I think I'll read through. The big thing with this was making sure that more credit was given to Nathan Austin than is currently being given.
Yes.
Via this source, we now understand that the Pricemaster is 90% the brainchild of Nathan Austin. Whether or not someone was like, hey, we should do a yard sale that wasn't involved, whatever, like Nathan Austin himself took this upon, like, this is his brainchild.
He was the Pricemaster.
He fully was the Pricemaster. And we've been interacting and talking with, the supporting cast. We want to make sure we recognize that the lead here was Nathan, and all of that. So we were asking for some clarification about the credits on the Pricemaster video and whether or not they were, like, what's the deal here? Like,
are these dog shit? I think were the words I used verbatim.
It's like total dog shit. So we got some clarification. Dog Big in the credits wasn't necessarily a person, but rather one of the dogs. Actually a dog.
Okay. A canine.
Dr. Morgan Rutherford, also seen in the credits, was not any actual person. It was just a persona taken on, a moniker, if you will, in order to, when they're reaching out to people to appear more professional and relatable.
Kyle, much like you and I did when we created a fake manager for our band, Heavy Berry.
Yes.
Dr. Heavy Berry?
He didn't achieve his PhD at the time.
I wish it was doctor, but it's true though, John. We would reach out to people under, hey, my band, the band I managed, Down and Outlaws, whatever, under the guise of this guy Heavy Berry. We would get more traction if people felt like they're being reached out to by a manager. Yeah, and then Dave Ponder was a neighbor. He was not involved really either, except for that iconic line in the video, like 5 minutes in or so. It says, beer. It's not just for breakfast anymore. So yeah, just like some like light clarifications like that. We don't want to go into too much more detail because it starts getting you know, a little busy, but
well, and like I think the more important thing too is the distinction between Fast House and the Good Bad Art Collective, correct?
Which I can speak to as well. So the Fast House was really just Nathan and one other guy. There was obviously other people living there, but they weren't. It wasn't like a true spiritual, like who was the Fast House? It was Nathan really and another guy. The Good Bad Art Collective, yes, they were rubbing elbows with those folks. They were involved with them here and there, but they had nothing to do. Yeah, Good Bad Art Collective had nothing to do with the Pricemaster. That was something we got wrong in the last video for sure. So,
but like that's the thing too, is that you found some fucking Facebook page that said as much, right? Which is where you got that information.
YouTube comments and Facebook pages, yes.
Right. So that Facebook page also was not created by anybody involved in that. Right. It was completely whoever, I have to assume that the people that uploaded the video on the Pricemaster channel are potentially the same people that made this Facebook account, because it has all the same information on both of them.
Yeah.
And those people are the people that essentially stole this content, re-uploaded it as their own, even went so far as to add their own names into the credits. And that's the information that we were pulling from. And that's the thing that I have the biggest problem with, and that I see on the internet, especially with shit like fucking TikTok, man. Like TikTok trends, jokes, all this stuff gets passed around, duplicated, and just it's copy pastas. It's visual copy pastas.
Yeah.
But people are passing it off as their own.
For sure.
And it's a huge fucking problem. And it sucks when you're somebody that finds this stuff interesting like we do and has no other resource to go on except for taking it at their word, like that these are the people. And then, you know, I mean, it's just the whole situation is so fucked and annoying and stupid that people don't have their own original thoughts that they want to put out there.
It's difficult when you, especially in regards to TikTok, when you can use somebody else's sound and sync up to it, or just like stitch.
Well, it's such a baked in part of the platform, like using these stock sounds that are someone else's thing.
Yeah, which absolutely I can agree with in some capacity, but I think like when people are completely uploading videos on their own is kind of crazy. Like I remember when I saw it got passed around one of our group chats, some dude in his garage playing drums and guitar like at the same time, and I was like, this shit is fucking awesome. And whoever had posted that original video was not the person that created the song, and it like wasn't until later that week that I found who actually had done that, and it was this guy Steel Beans. And it was just like, how did I see an original video that had like hundreds of thousands of likes and shares that was not attributed to the creator at all?
Yeah, and that shit happens on Reddit too. People will make the same fucking post, and then you'll see on other subs people complaining that someone stole my joke and they're getting more recognition for it than the original did. And it's a huge, I don't know, I'm not claiming to have any of the answers. It's just something that definitely needs to be looked at, because the algorithm, like if you have 3 million followers on a platform and you're essentially stealing content and reposting it, of course you're going to get more views. That person it's going to drive all the traffic to the person with more followers than the person that has like 100 or 1,000 or even 100,000.
How far away do you think that we are as a society using the internet to like a virtual police force where you can get a ticket for minor infractions like reposting? Do you think that that's useful? Is that Minority Report light, like Diet Future Crimes? Like what are we?
Diet Future Crimes.
That's a good band name.
I took some notes because I had a lot of thoughts about this whole fiasco. That we are slowly reaching the meme singularity, that over a long enough period of time,
the
memularity, thank you, is that you have all these people. Yeah, I know it sounds real bad mouthfeel.
It really doesn't sound good.
But like over a long enough period of time, everybody's just copying each other or other old memes and reusing them. that what is going to be original on the internet anymore?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to fold in on itself into like nothingness and everything at the same time. And no one's going to want to use the fucking internet anymore. It's just bizarre. Like, even when there are new memes, it's like they're based around formats or formulas of prior memes. And it's like, I get where you're coming from with this. Like, I know what inspired
everything's
this.
Building upon, you know?
Which, yeah, I mean, that's like everything. So I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing or if it'll actually ever happen. That's basically what art is. Like, I think a lot of it comes from the fact that people are so afraid to put their own genuine thoughts out on the internet for fear of criticism or rejection. Like, I think Kyle and we talked about this in one of our chats, if not all three of us, of like people self-editing when they're making their own original content for fear that any little thing they say, somebody from that group is going to then pounce on them and not listen to whatever else they were saying.
Yeah.
Whether it was a good point or a bad point.
Because of a slip up or...
Yeah, just constantly walking on eggshells. And I think that plays into a lot of this too, where it's like you see all these people making money and getting sponsorships or whatever, and from this content that they've repurposed. And it's like, well, why would I, if this works, why would I put my own personality out there? And also the fear of like privacy and anonymity on the internet. It's like, it's a really fucking bizarre thing.
And it's crazy too, because this is all born out of a conversation about the Pricemaster, which is a video that was filmed 20 years ago on VHS.
It's about a guy in a weird gold mask fucking shouting with like, it's the most ridiculous thing.
And here we are talking about it. Even that content, which should have been immune to this, is not.
And that's I think the biggest takeaway too, is that this is something that had no intention. The people that made it had no intention of it being a recognizable thing that was going to be passed around 20 years later.
That concept didn't exist in 2001. It just wasn't there.
So I am curious too, the person that reached out to us, or even Rick Perry, what their thoughts on art that ends up in a new space, gaining traction there where they never wanted it really.
Yeah, it wasn't born for that world, you know?
Yeah, like the quotes that we had where you were talking about it last week was that it seemed like they were very proud of the fact that they had done all these art installations out of the public eye. Or in a very small...
but even that was the good bad art collective. That wasn't even... Yeah. But even still, it's still relevant.
Yeah. And I get that too. Like, I'm sure a lot of those like small art collectives have that sort of mentality of like, no, we're making this for us, for our community. We don't want... Because then it becomes perverted and it becomes... It mutates and it changes from us, from the viewer. Because especially on the internet, we can't have anything nice. We have to fuck it up all the time. Look at fucking Rule 34.
Well, I think like, that we're bordering on art theory and like some very nuanced shit of like, if you create art in the dark, like what have you made and who is it for? Because is it something that hasn't even been created because is it an art form? Is it like, a personal project? What is it like? And if you're not creating it to share, if you're just creating it for yourself, then what is the point of it? Like, what have you done? That kind of thing. And like,
yeah. And there's all kinds of arguments for and against that too. It's a weird thing. It's kind of got away from us maybe a little bit, but
yeah. I mean, it is all relative to the subject matter for sure. Could you imagine if like that yard sale wasn't tape recorded, it wasn't put on VHS, like if it was just a performance art piece that packed it in the end of the night and like went away forever? Would we have any record of it? Would we have anything like this? Like, how many things like this have been created and it's ceased to exist? How many VHSs are stacked up somewhere that no one's ever fucking seen?
I want to know where they are.
Well, and on that point too is one of the whole reasons we do this podcast, we make this content, is it came out of our D&D sessions, recording it for us to listen to later. And then we were like, oh, hey, we think we're kind of funny and we make good stuff. Like, why don't we do this other thing? And it morphed into us just being able to regularly connect with each other. And that's the underlying thing, I think, is what does it mean to you? And you have to sort of let the haters, quote unquote, or whoever's going to fuck with your content, you can't pay them any more attention, And I think that's it, at least from the email that our unnamed source sent us. It seemed like if they had tried to shut it down, it would have been an even bigger thing and blown up even larger in their face and become an even worse amalgamation of what their initial true pure intentions were with the Pricemaster. And I think that's the best way that you can do it. You can't expect people to not take content that they find absurd or weird or unique and bend it to their will a little bit, because that's kind of what we do with all of the shit that we're talking about. Although we're not claiming that it's our own content.
Right,
So there is that.
Yeah, it's we're just I romantically kind of view us as like historian, like internet historians, a
archivists.
Little bit. Archivists, yes. That reminds me, I have a thing I want to talk to you guys about. But anyways, I think that's a pretty good little chunk of intro there, Harland.
Yeah. So that's our follow-up to Pricemaster.
And everyone wanted to know which president was the true throat goat. And
okay, I do remember this.
And they are all some sort of eldritch monsters of yore, right? She was also selling videos of her farting in the jar.
I hate this so much. I hate everything about this.
yeah.
Security starboard.